Hi, I'm Jason Avery. I'm the owner of Avery Construction, and today I'm going to show you how you budget your kitchen remodel. So there's several things that you need to consider. Number one, permits. Permits are required on most kitchen remodels, especially when you're moving plumbing and electric. If you're pulling a simple permit, building only, you might spend as little as $500. When you do a larger project requiring electric and plumbing, and maybe you're going to remove a load-bearing wall requiring a little engineering to supplement the paperwork, you could spend fees as high as $2,000. Next, you have demolition. What are you going to remove? Well, maybe the cabinets and the countertops are a given, but what about soffits? What about pantry closets? How much flooring? Sometimes it's just the kitchen, a couple hundred square feet, and sometimes you want to remove the whole living room, maybe up to 1,000 square feet. So demolition with a dumpster and labor, anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000. Next, masonry. This doesn't come up often in kitchen remodels, but if you're going to move some plumbing underground, you might need to trench the slab. When you do that, you need a termite treatment, and then you need to repair the slab. So sometimes there's no expense for masonry, and other times you might spend up to $1,000 between cutting and repairing. Framing. Well, often in a kitchen remodel, we want to take out a soffit or a drop ceiling. So at the minimum, we might need to put some insulation in there. But other times we want to reframe the walls and change the layout a little bit, and so we might need a little additional time, labor, and materials. Let's give this budget anywhere from $500 up to $1,500 for the labor and the materials. Now, what about electric? Well, at the minimum, we're going to be replacing some receptacles. Maybe it's for the microwave hookup, the garbage disposal, or the dishwasher. If you have an island, those receptacles have to be replaced after the island gets put back. But other times you want to add additional lighting. How about some can lights or some pendant lighting hanging over your island? What about under cabinet lighting or over cabinet lighting? Or what about a glass cabinet that gets lit up? There's so many options. So in the electrical range, maybe $1,000 on a low end up to $3,000 on a high end. And that is assuming that the electrical panel is sufficient and doesn't need any upgrading. What about plumbing? Well, at the minimum, you're going to reconnect the kitchen sink and the faucet and that ice line at the refrigerator. So let's say $500. But other times we're going to relocate the refrigerator or relocate the plumbing and put the sink in the island. So that might require some additional labor and materials, let's say up to $1,000. HVAC. Well, when you have a hood vent, that qualifies under HVAC. If you remove a drop ceiling, you're going to raise the air conditioning vent. So these create some options for HVAC. Not always required, but sometimes you're going to spend up to $1,000 in HVAC. Drywall. Well, if you've removed soffits, if you've removed a ceiling, you got to do some repairs. And you're going to replace the drywall, then tape the seams, and then you're going to texture it so that you can get it ready for paint. Now, sometimes we're going to paint for you, and other times the homeowner is going to paint for themselves. It's a simple way that you can save some money. Are you any good with a paintbrush? In the drywall budget, I'm going to allow anywhere from $500 up to $3,500 for large areas. What about flooring? A couple of hundred square feet of flooring in the kitchen area only, and then you're going to buy materials with your labor, and or are we going to do all the living room and the adjacent areas as well, through the foyer and maybe into the laundry or into a hall bathroom, and up to 1,000 square feet. And then what about the materials? Are you going to buy them for $2 a foot or $4 a foot? There's so many ranges. But in flooring, we'll say anywhere from $1,500 up to $8,000. Now your cabinets. Well, number one, how many feet? You could have anywhere from 35 up to 50 feet in an average kitchen. Then your cabinets could vary from 200 a foot up to 350 a foot, depending on whether you choose maple with a simple square style or cherry with applied moldings and glazes. There's amazing things you can do with cabinetry. We build ours custom, but for cabinetry, if you chose the smaller footage with the cheaper cabinet, maybe $7,500 is a fair budget. But if you had more feet with a more expensive cabinet and a more expensive door style, maybe you could have as much as $18,000. Next, you have accessories. What about the drawers? They could be made of plywood. They could be made out of dovetail, out of hardwood maple. Do you want soft closing slides? What about crown moldings, light rails, and base trims? Wainscot door panels that cap the outsides of your island. Pull-outs for trash, pull-outs for spice, the list goes on and on. So in accessories, we might budget anywhere from $1,000 up to $4,000 to get everything on the wish list. Next is labor. We've got to install all these cabinets and all this accessorizing. So for labor, we'll budget anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000. Countertops. Well, the days of laminates, the days of solid surfaces like Corian or Staron, those days are over. Most people are fabricating granite or quartz. And there's many levels of granite based on color. The common ones are less expensive, the rare ones are more expensive. If you have less square feet on your granite and maybe 50 square feet with a common color, $3,500 is a fair range. And if you were to go up to 75 feet of granite and pick a more exotic color, $6,500 would cover the above average. What about trim out? Are you going to do some backsplash tile? Do we got to replace some baseboards? Were there any doors involved in the process? So the little extra accessorizing and trims, they might run anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Next, you got the parts. You have to buy the backsplash tile. You have to buy the floor tile. What if you have to buy appliances? And assuming one appliance, a few parts and pieces, let's allow $1,500. But what if we're going to buy a whole arsenal of appliances? What if we're going to go ahead and buy, all the accessories and maybe up to $5,000 to be spent in the kitchen? So here we have it, a long broken down list, everything you need, and we've provided options anywhere from $21,500 up to $63,000. And this is all in one room. It's amazing what you can do. I'd love to help explain to you what those options are and how to get into the budget you're looking for. I'm Jason Avery with Avery Construction. Thank you for listening to what I have to say today.